Welcome to Mike Does History. Just arrived out here at the Great Serpent Mound. It's out in Peebles, Ohio. I think the last bit of civilization that I passed was Hillsboro, and it says it's about 19 miles that way. Here is a burial mound out near the Great Serpent Mound. There are actually a few different mounds nearby the serpent effigy. This was built by the Adena culture. The Adenas actually predate both the Hopewell culture and the Fort Ancient culture. Here is another smaller burial mound here at the Great Serpent Mound. This one's quite a bit smaller than the other. Now this is actually one of the first sites I've come across that warns about flying your drone. So be careful, be warned. Here we are at the Great Serpent Mound, and you can actually see as it comes around through here. We're going to go up on the tower over here and get a better view from above. Alright, now I'm on top of the tower, and you can get a much better view of the Serpent Mound. Now if you look the Serpent Mound up on Google Earth or on MapQuest, you can actually see an aerial view of it. This thing is enormous. So here's the Serpent Mound off to my left, and as you can see, each part of the snake itself actually matches up with different things, such as the winter solstice or the vernal equinox, and points in the direction that the sun will rise or that the moon will rise. The ancients were very concerned about the sky and the constellations in the sky. Now, just like the other side, this actually has the equinox sunset. So this side of the mound was for the sunset, and the other side, obviously, was for the sunrise. Here you can get a much better idea of just how big these mounds are. We are up close and personal. This thing's probably 4 to 5 feet tall in certain areas. As you can see, this circular earthwork here is supposed to be the egg that the serpent is eating. So the serpent is opening his mouth to eat a large egg. All of these different earthworks were built up on top of a plateau, and we're also right by Brush Creek, so it was right next to another waterway. Now again, we're up on the plateau looking down. So down there, you can't see it, but down there is Brush Creek. And it's a pretty big creek. I would almost call it a river. And if you can see, this is actually the coil of the serpent. It's all coiled up here with a brilliant view. Look at that, that's so pretty. Here's the view looking out from the tail of the serpent up on top of this plateau. And if we look down, you can actually see Brush Creek down there. Now, something interesting about the Serpent Mound that is not the case in many other places, or in any other place that I know of, is that the Serpent Mound is actually built on an old meteorite site. A meteorite struck here, and there is far more iridium in this area. Iridium does not naturally occur on Earth. There is far more iridium in this site than anywhere else, which makes this site kind of radioactive. If you didn't know, now you know. Alright, here we are at the Serpent Mound here in Peebles, Ohio. And I know you were talking inside a little bit about the meteor that had landed here and about the serpent and how the connection is there. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. To tell you the truth, we have a small park here. It's about 60 acres. Serpent Mound, if you're not familiar with it, is one of the largest, if not the largest, effigy mound in the world. The word effigy just means something that's shaped after a unique object. In this case, it's a serpent. If you stretch it out from end to end, it's just over a 1/4 mile long. Now, the park itself is only about 60 acres, but the park is right in the middle of a 4-mile wide impact crater. Matter of fact, we're the only known impact crater in the state of Ohio right now. The impact took place probably about 240 million years ago. Contrary to what the sign says here, 300 million, a little bit of an update. It's only been in the last 30 years or so that geologists even call this an impact site. Before that, you know, the unique topography out here shows that at one time that the ground had been forced upward about 400 or 500 feet. They called it the Serpent Mound crypto explosion, the theory being that the mantle from underneath the earth was actually pushing the ground up, you know, way, way back, you know, pre-Jurassic world. Well, technology is a wonderful thing. Geologists now can look down into the ground with new ground penetrating radar. Surprise, 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 the bedrock is crushed down and not blown out. And I mentioned that the impact crater is about 4 miles wide. All along the edge of what used to be the wall of the crater, traces of an element known as iridium have been found. Iridium is not normally found here on Earth, but is associated with meteor impact sites, of which, like I said, this is the only known one so far in the state of Ohio.
It's very interesting that there are no other mounds or earthworks whatsoever with iridium in them, as far as I know. It's kind of a one of a kind.
Maybe. Now, did the Native Americans know they're in an impact crater? Probably not. This site was just an appropriate site for them to build this effigy. It's, you know, the effigy itself goes out on a promontory, and way out at the head, on 3 sides, you have cliffs. So if you're building a sacred site that you want to, you know, protect, what's a better way to do it than having 3 sides having, you know, sheer drop-offs? Plus, the promontory is positioned in such a way that it's facing toward the setting sun of the summer solstice, which is a very important day in the Native American mythology. If you sit right in the mouth and you divide that big oval right in front of the mouth, right in half, it's within 1 degree of that specific celestial alignment.
And then also, even back then, it could have actually been right on line with it, you know, as far as going back that far.
Archaeoastronomers say it's lined up just right. Now, one of the problems with this site is there's still some controversy about how old the mound is. 2 prime possibilities: the Fort Ancient culture built it 1,000 years ago, or the Adena culture built it 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have carbon-14 dating pointing both directions. We have evidence of village life here in the promontory for both sites. We have burial mounds here in the property with both cultures. That kind of messes things up a little bit.
I would say, well, it's a very interesting site. There's nothing like it. Most times these earthworks and things are up on top of a plateau or a bluff, you know, type deal there, and it's nothing different here except it's an effigy. It's a lot more interesting than some of these other ones.
It's also a pleasant park. I mean,
oh, it's beautiful here.
It's one of the first archaeological parks ever created as such in the United States. All the buildings around here were actually built during the Great Depression with FDR's, you know, put people back to work programs, both the Civilian Conservation Corps and the WPA, and they never really added on to the buildings in you know, later years. So we still have that old, you know, 1960s park charm. But rest assured, our restrooms did get flushed with toilets and running water about 7 years ago. So we've been drugged into the 20th century, kicking and screaming. Out
here in the middle of the middle of nowhere, pretty much. At least you have your restroom, right?
But you know something? It's a beautiful drive down here. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
Down the foothills, beginning of the Appalachia, down here in southern and southeastern Ohio.
All right, I appreciate it. And what was your name again, sir?
Tim Goodwin. I'm actually the park manager down here.
Oh, I appreciate it, Tim. Thank you.
Come on back and see us.
Oh, definitely will. Thanks.
Take care.
Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to check out my website. Also, follow me daily on Instagram, on Twitter, and on Facebook. And remember, as Martin Luther King Jr. once said, we are not makers of history, we are made by history. This is Mike saying, have a nice day.